Squiz Kids acknowledges the traditional owners of the lands on which we podcast, the Turrbal and Gadigal people.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Monday, February 6. In Squiz Kids Today, the fighter jets and the spy balloon, India's friendly elephant, Scorchers win the BBL and meet the world's oldest dog. That's what's making news, kids style.
The lowdown.
It's the news story that has it all. Fighter jets, a mysterious balloon floating high in the sky, and accusations of spying. And it all came to a head on the weekend when US fighter jets shot out of the sky over waters along the east coast of America a great big balloon that had come from China and floated across the country. America's top defense officials were yesterday saying that the balloon had been sent from China to spy on high-level military sites in the USA. China said that it was simply a weather balloon which had accidentally blown off course. The United States Navy was yesterday busy collecting bits of the balloon that fell to Earth to take them away for analysis. Meanwhile, the world watched on nervously. Why? Because China and the United States of America are what are known as superpowers. It's a term that refers to a handful of countries in the world that are really big and really powerful. And while the United States has been a world superpower for a while, China has only relatively recently become one, and like the young male lion that wants to challenge the old head of the pride, China is asserting itself and flexing its muscles. Watch this space.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in India, in the jungles of Kerala to be specific, where a friendly elephant has become a tourist attraction. Padayappa, the Asian elephant, is well known for wandering through the towns of Kerala, flapping his big ears and generally interacting with the locals. People who live with Padayappa say he's a gentle giant, who only occasionally gets into mischief, sneaking into gardens and eating plants. Lately, local authorities have had to ask people to give Padayappa some distance, as there have been instances of him getting annoyed by humans getting up in his grill, as the kids say. Reminding folks that even the friendliest of elephants need a little bit of personal space sometimes. And I gotta say, I know how he feels. I've stuck a link to photos of Padayappa in today's episode notes.
Sport time.
It was the BBL final that had it all. A big bashing aplenty, dramatic run-outs and a nail-biting finish that came down to the final few balls as the Perth Scorchers took out their 5th Big Bash championship, beating the Brisbane Heat at the weekend. In front of a record crowd at Perth's Optus Stadium, and batting second, the Orange Army proved too strong against the boys in blue, whacking enough sixes and scoring just enough fours and singles to beat the 176-run target set by the Heat and win the match with a score of 5 for 178. The home crowd in Perth were ecstatic. The commentators called it a BBL final for the ages, and Brisbane fans, while disappointed, could at least comfort themselves that they never expected to make the final after a lot of their top players had left to join the Aussie team in India. I've stuck a link to video of the winning moment in today's episodes, and congratulations, Perth.
Biggest, furthest, longest.
This is the segment that celebrates record breakers. And today's record breaker is Bobby the dog, who has just broken the Guinness World Record for the world's oldest pooch. Bobby is a Portuguese dog who is 30 years and 226 days old. The previous record holder was an Aussie blue cattle dog called, appropriately enough, Bluey, who lived to the ripe old age of 29 years and 5 months. The owners of Bobby say the secret to his old age is that he eats their food at dinner and he lives a stress-free existence, showered with love. As the saying goes, it's a dog's life. I've stuck a link to photos of Bobby in today's episode notes. Hey folks, don't forget that in partnership with Woolworths, we're in the middle of our search for the ultimate $5 lunchbox. And a big thanks to Matilda from Box Hill, who suggested oysters, a jumbo pack of chips, and a Blue Heaven milkshake as her ultimate lunchbox. Sounds delicious. At the end of today's podcast, Rosie from Rosie's Recipes will be sharing some lunchbox inspo of her own. And today, it's a next level nachos recipe. Be sure to keep listening at the end of this episode.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. In which country does Padayappa the friendly elephant live? Yeah, that's right. He lives in India. Question number 2. Which cricket team won the BBL final on Saturday night? Yeah, that's right. It was the Perth Scorchers. Question number 3. How old is Bobby, the world's oldest dog? Yep, well done if you said 30 years and 226 days old.
Shout-outs.
It's February 6. It's Waitangi Day in New Zealand, marking an important day in the history of NZ, the signing of the Waitangi Treaty way back in 1840. Today is also the Grammy Awards in the United States, celebrating some of the top pop, rock, Latin and country artists in the world. It's a special day also for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today. Liam from Burpengary, Hazel from Freshwater, Emily from Oyster Bay, Danish from Croydon, and Sophia, Elijah and Emily from Ashmont. And belated birthday wishes go to Charlotte from Montmorency, Kota and Luca from Helensvale, Sebastian, Audrey and Luna from Ivanhoe, Lawson and Ivy from Cronulla, Bella and Zabir from Oyster Bay, Shyla from Geelong, and finally to Ida, also from Ivanhoe. And apologies from Ida's dad, who forgot last week. That's alright, Isla's dad. We all forget. Every now and then. And I'm happy to say today marks the return of the classroom shout-out. Classroom shout-outs today go to the senior class in Ms. Ruskin at Newry Bar Public School, Datsun class and Mrs. Carr at Oran Park Public School, Class PC and ED groups with Ms. Simmons at West Moreton Anglican College in Ipswich, and Class 5-6M and Ms. Martha at Oak Park Primary School. And finally, a special shout-out to long-time listeners Ned and Will from Windsor in Brisbane. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout-out, or if you're after a classroom shout-out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au, or fill out the form on our website. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. We'll be back again tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out.
Rosie's Recipes.
Hello Squiz Kids, and welcome to this special series of Rosie's Recipes. Long-time listeners of the podcast will remember that this was a weekly segment which we've brought back for the back-to-school period with help from our friends at Woolworths as we search for the ultimate $5 lunchbox. My dad is always telling me that making school lunches is the bane of his life. I don't know what a bane is, but I can tell you from his tone that it's not a good thing. So, for the next couple of weeks, we'll be throwing out lunchbox ideas that are new, nutritious, and under $5. Everyone's a winner. But first, let's have a look at some of the ideas you guys sent in for the ultimate lunchbox. Matilda from Box Hill had the very elaborate lunchbox suggestion of oysters, tartare, and a Blue Heaven milkshake. Wowzers. But even if I would happily eat a jar of Nutella for lunch each day, I know you've also got to get some fresh food into you. And so, for today's lunchbox idea, it's what I like to call a next level nachos lunchbox. And I've stuck a link to it in today's episode notes. It's really easy to prepare, and kids, think of how happy you'll make your parents if you make this yourselves. You're going to need a pack of mini flour tortillas, cooking spray, baby tomatoes, Lebanese cucumber, natural yogurt, a can of black beans, shredded cheese, fresh pineapple, and pepitas. Now, I went to my local Woolworths with Dad, and we bought these ingredients, and this lunchbox works out to $4.35 per serving. You can't even buy 2 paddle pops for that. You want to spray the tortillas with cooking oil and whack them in the oven for a bit. Chop the tomatoes and cucumber and combine. Chop up the pineapple and cut it into little triangles and whack it all into a lunchbox. And don't forget to pack a spoon or fork. Simple. And then just wait to see how many kids try to swap lunch with you in the playground. Enjoy!